Consideration of an interim urgency ordinance establishing a 45-day moratorium on the issuance of any new permit for any new developments, projects, additional and/or construction requiring the use of city supply potable water, waive the reading of the interim urgency ordinance and adopt ordinance by title only, open the public hearing, close the public hearing, and approve ordinance as presented. Mr. Lopez.
Thank you, Mayor. So I'm going to provide a very high-level overview of this item. We do have our city engineer and our public works team, as well as community development director here, that are also able here to ask or to answer any additional technical questions that you may have from the mayor and the council. So just to set the foundation and to give a background as to what we're talking about tonight, a November 2023 engineering report states that the city's existing water system does not have adequate capacity to meet the increased maximum day demand from new developments and would not have adequate capacity to meet the projected peak hour demand for 4 previously approved projects. In October 2021, engineering reports stated that the city's water system would have adequate capacity to meet the increased maximum day demand, but not adequate capacity to meet the projected peak hour demand from a new 80-unit and 480-unit development. Existing failures in wells and the water system have resulted in negative impacts to the city's ability to provide water to the existing community. The recommended action is to adopt the urgency ordinance. However, this is a policy issue for the council to decide. So the key question for the council tonight, the mayor and the council, does the council wish to adopt the urgency ordinance given the current circumstances? So by way of background, in October of 2021, the city engineer's office provided a water system capacity assessment based on statute under the California Water Code. The report references 2 large multifamily projects which were approved by the Planning Commission and the City Council. The first project was approved by the Planning Commission on August 10th, 2021, and the City Council subsequently approved it on September 9th, 2021. The second project was approved by the Planning Commission on June 29th, 2021, and the City Council on September 21st, 2021. Within the 2021 report, I've taken just a snapshot from that report. The projected MDD and PHD would be 7,467 gallons per minute and 11,202 gallons per minute, respectively. Based on these calculations, the city's water system would have adequate capacity to meet the increased MDD from the new multifamily development, but would not have adequate capacity to meet the projected PHD based on the firm capacity. So this information from 2021 is critical in the sense that in this report, the engineer projected that there would not be adequate capacity to meet the PHD based on the firm capacity back in 2021. At the end of 2023, the city manager's office authorized an update to the water system capacity assessment. The report was provided in draft form on November 17th, 2023. There were some outstanding technical questions that we had posed back to the engineering team. The report references previously approved projects that will have a significant impact on water demand. The first project approved back in August of 2021, and the council on September 9th, 2021. The second project on June 29th, 2021, and the City Council on September 21st, 2021. Third project approved by the Planning Commission on August 13th in 2019, and the City Council on September 17th, 2019. And then the fourth project approved by the Planning Commission on August 9th, 2022, and the City Council on September 6th, 2022. So based on the report that was provided at the end of 2023, the projected MDD and PHD would be 7,455 gallons per minute and 11,189 gallons per minute, respectively. Based on these calculations, the city's water system would not have adequate capacity to meet the increased MDD from the new developments and would not have adequate capacity to meet the projected PHD based on the firm capacity. So you'll note in this instance, the PhD and the MDD are both not adequate to accommodate the 4 projects that are listed above. Yeah, and I'm sorry, I used an acronym. PhD stands for the peak hour demand, and then MDD is maximum daily demand. So just to clarify, I apologize for that. So when we talk about the water system, generally speaking, some of the things that are very considerable and very important for the water system include an accurate and up-to-date assessment, as well as an inventory of the current assets and what we have. So when certain parts were replaced, when were they put into service, and when we would expect those different parts of that system to be replaced, or at least plan for the replacement of those items. In addition to that, one of the things that we've been focusing in on is preventative maintenance. Obviously, the work on the front side helps alleviate and prevent things that might occur in the future. So a robust preventative maintenance plan is absolutely critical to making sure that your equipment continues to function as it's supposed to. When we talk about the life cycle or the planned replacement of different pieces of infrastructure, we obviously want to talk about planning those items so that we can appropriately fund and adequately provide the council with information related to what are the components of the system that need to be replaced, so that the council can make some policy decisions based on the replacement of various components of the system. Again, we also want to talk about system reliability. What are the redundancies that are put in place to ensure that if you have one failure that occurs in one part of your system, you've got offsetting components of that help produce redundancy in the system, so that you're just not relying on, wells that are providing water to your community, because in the event that your wells go down, what are the other systems that you have in place to help essentially don't put all your eggs in one basket. Some of the themes that have been happening in the city of Livingston for as long as I've been here, a very reactionary response versus a proactive response. So really dealing with emergencies as they come up versus planning and being more mindful about the things that you need to replace in the future. Again, that goes to point 2 as well, planning for future replacements and future growth. So we know that the community is not completely built out. So what are the things that the staff needs to do in order to make sure that we're planning for those replacements, but also planning for future growth in the community? A key part of that is obviously identifying your funding needs. Directly related to that are the conversations the council is also having related to the general plan, future annexations, and then obviously when we start talking about the replacement of various components of the water system, that's your capital improvement project that helps illustrate the needs, how you're going to replace different projects, planning them, putting them on a cycle so that the council isn't surprised that when there's a request for a significant investment. You provide information on the front side so that everybody knows what's coming in the next year, but also multiple years down the road. And then that's also related to your development impact fees, because we know that future developments are going to have impact on your water system, your wastewater system. And again, without properly planning for the expansion or the growth of those specific segments of the community, if you're not planning for that, then you're kind of trying to provide additional capacity while at the same time dealing with the growth that is happening on the fly. But we know that nothing ever gets built as fast as we want it to get built. So collectively across the board, the city of Livingston has struggled with planning and preparing for the long-term replacement of various components of its water and wastewater infrastructure. So I know Anthony's here, and I'm sure he can provide more commentary and more details of some of the current operational issues that we've experienced just in the last year. So at any given time, the water system may experience failures. This could be mechanical failures, including well failures. This could be water line breaks, higher levels of contaminants allowable under the law. And when we have these, that means that we have to take wells off-site or offline. We have to momentarily pause, whether it's extraction from groundwater, resulting in wells that are offline, further reducing the amount of water that we can provide to the community. So redundancy into the system and additional sources of water help minimize the operational impacts to the system. So if you're not just relying on a couple wells, obviously, and you've got a whole host of wells that you can select from, a couple wells that go down may not have a significant impact in your operation. But when you're relying on every single well to provide water capacity to the community and one or two go down, you're talking about some significant impacts to the system. Failures that we've experienced over the last year include motor failures, bowl assembly failures, and column pipe failures, which again have occurred in the last year, and these result in taking various parts of the system offline. As it stands right now, even without the 4 developments that were mentioned in the 2023 assessment, the current system struggles to meet demand during peak times. And again, once you have a failure, an operational failure does place higher strains on the system. And a perfect storm example would be summertime, 110 degrees, and you have a failure in one of your wells. And that would be one of those instances where things that happen at the wrong time causing additional issues for the water system. In August of 2023, we received the results of a state water board audit. I won't read verbatim what the audit stated based on what's on the screen, but I have highlighted a few items in red that do stick out from that audit. The first one, the city falls short of the demand by 642,800 gallons, even when considering the 1 million gallon storage tank. And then finally, the city needs to look into securing additional source capacity to ensure that the city can meet PhD and MDD at all times, including when well number 17 is offline for the MDD. So again, you've got another agency that's identifying the same things that our own assessment is conveying as well. So there are a number of things that this council has taken on, and I really want to give much appreciation and much kudos to this council here, because they've done a lot of work to bring this system up to date. And I just wanted to spend a couple moments talking about that. The council adopted a 1-year CIP when the council adopted its fiscal year 23-24 budget. Within that document is a number of improvements that we've slated that are underway right now for the existing year. So part of the importance of that is twofold. One, understanding the capacity and limitations of the existing staff, because we said that that's what we were going to do. Evaluating how successful we are with the 23-24 CIP will help us get a better understanding of what's the capacity that we have with the existing staff, where do we need to potentially up staff, where are the things that we need to do to get to a 5-year CIP. So that 1-year CIP is really a test project to understand, okay, what did we get done based on what we said we were going to get done? And then 2, what were those immediate pressing needs that we had to go through that we identified at the beginning of the budget cycle that we included in the 1-year CIP? This council was the recipient of the $1 million grant from our senator that will go towards the replacement of, or to fund a portion of the Arcalian centralized treatment facility. Well 8A is currently under construction. The Public Works team is currently doing the infrastructure assessment. They're pulling pumps, they're reviewing all of our infrastructure. They've been doing this for probably a couple months now, with the goal of providing more information for the budget as to what the council should expect as recommendations from the staff as to what we're going to invest in for the upcoming year. And then finally, just tonight, the council did make some investments in updating and replacing some of its infrastructure. So we've replaced various pumps, we've replaced water lines, which the council approved tonight. So there's a number of investments that this council has taken on to prioritize the water system and other components of the infrastructure for the city of Livingston. And so the key themes that we take away from this, from the staff side, is this council has prioritized the capital improvement plan and knows the importance of a long-range plan. The council has approved numerous investments, including the replacement of water lines, new wells, and the necessary infrastructure for those components. And then finally, the council has lobbied state and federal representatives, including during the One Voice trip. And you'll see later on in another agenda item, we've got some priorities, potential priorities listed out for the council. And you'll see that, again, those are infrastructure-related priorities. So some of the final notes and some of the questions that the council may want to ask about, because at the end of the day, from the staff perspective, we know that the challenges exist with our water system, and we know that we have trouble meeting maximum daily demand and peak demand. So for us, we can convey the operational issues, but at the end of the day, this is a council policy issue for the council to take on. And, some of the questions that the council may want to ask itself include, how much risk is the city council comfortable in taking on? So we know that the limitations of the system and the impacts that they have on our water system, generally speaking. So how comfortable is the council in relying on its existing system to remain online? So what I mean by that, in other words, is we know that if we have a couple wells that go down, that we have issues meeting demand. Is the council confident in the current system to say, well, we only anticipate 1 or 2 failures, and it may not be that big of a risk? It's something for the council to consider. In the event of a fire or other event, I know we've got our fire team here, does the council feel comfortable in the existing system providing adequate water to provide water for public safety, including a fire response? So in the event that the council chooses not to adopt the moratorium and we allow the previously entitled projects to pull permits, is the council okay with potentially not having enough water pressure in the system to respond to a fire in the community? In the event of a significant fire incident, how would the council view potential litigation related to potential loss of property and or life? The information is included in the backup in terms of the limitations of our system. That is something that the council may want to consider in terms of in our litigious society. In the event that something happens, it's more likely than not that the council will have some sort of litigation to deal with in the event of some sort of loss. And then question number 4, how might the city address concerns from the public regarding the inability to provide water for existing community members if development continues to occur? So again, this is the 4 previously entitled projects. You've got essentially 2 interests. You've got proposed development in the future, and then you've got existing community members. And so how does the council grapple with those 2 items, knowing that we've got limitations on the water side? And then finally, this is more of a broader question related to how we get water and how we provide water. We know that the basin is critically overdrafted. What is a larger policy solution for a finite amount of groundwater available for the community? So essentially, you've got a pool. You've got these agencies that are all dumping a straw into that pool, but we know that that basin is finite. So what are those other broader policy solutions related to securing a longer, more sustainable source of water to provide for the community, not only for the existing residents, but also for future residents that might come into the future? That concludes my presentation, Mayor.